Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say,
come join us.
Pakuli.
Biasonyani.
Fuyai Tibatane.
Zafra Nabia.
Viens nous rejoindre.
Brabe Kanya.
Aw, Amanasat Shamil Hojao.
As we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Alande. Make I walk you through my everyday life. Busy from the morning light. My to-do list long, shadow fit to overlap. So sharp, turn on mobile app. School fees check, light bills check. Do I'm with speed like a G4 jet. Maybe at the day I am not upset. Check, I don't even use checks to the check.
Join the ABSA family and make fast, easy, and safe transactions with our digital products. Log on to absa.com.gh. No long thing. We like them simple and easy.
Believe me, no long things in my life. Like I'm simple and easy. Easy.
Hello again, and I am excited to be hosting today's session of the Primetime STEM Festival Mentorship Sessions. My name remains Lucy Akosua-Fiadonu. The mentorship sessions are aimed at giants in the STEM industry to share with our audience their experiences and prospects in their various fields and to give us the guidance they may need to reach their highest potential, as well as help us to discover and develop our interest in our most passionate Q. I am inclusive, and so I keep bringing myself into the picture. We are proudly brought to you by Absa Bank Ghana Limited with support from Joy News and Joy Learning. Those who were with us yesterday, you would attest to the fact that it was an exciting session with Kweku Nyedu, who is the head of solutions at Absa Bank Ghana Limited. We are proud to have him. Well, he was here last year and we met him then. One of the key things that we're learning from him is that research is integral in this STEM career that we want to pursue. So let's not shy away from that and continue to pursue. Today, we are privileged to have another prolific mentor who has so much experience leading STEM organizations, and not just locally, worldwide. His name is Samuel Akuffo, and he is the country operations lead for Zipline Ghana. So I'm sure you're just thinking drones and what have you. We will go into that. Well, in this role as the country operations lead for Zipline Ghana, he provides the direction and guidance in operational excellence, shareholder management, customer experience, and people management. He later developed his interest in process improvement and operational excellence. And you have an MBA in total quality management.
Whoever you're doing it for, we'll help you get it done. Simply. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Thank you so much. The conversation continues, but you can join us also via your comments, questions to our STEM Fest GH page and NSMQ page, all on Facebook. We are also on Instagram, so do pop a message on there and we'll pick it up and have Samuel Akuffo answer. Sam, we are ready to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
What's your life been like and
My life.
that trajectory till today?
Yeah. So my life has generally been interesting. If I had a chance to start all over again, I'll actually go back and start it. I grew up in a very good environment. I'd say I'll give props to my parents. My parents were always available to make sure that my growth was guided in a very good way. I'm the first of 2 children. I started my early education at the University of Ghana Primary JSS in Legon. And I'd say over there, the training at that point in the school was really one that will prepare you to secondary education, because the teaching and everything over there was done such that it prepares you to your next step. So I'd say a lot of the attributes that I got that helped me academic-wise was picked up from there. So from there, then I went to Presec Legon. So I'm a proud of that year. Yes. I know we take over wherever we go. And over there, I read science. I was in Laboni House, which is the 6th house in Presec. And over there, I'd say that being amongst a group of people that can influence your life positively was one of the things that really helped me there. Presec is one of the schools that has a huge population. If you know the school, we always churn out huge numbers. There's that chance for you to probably fall within the wrong crowd and come out not being exactly what you expected. But I was successful because I found myself within good groups. I remember I was a house prefect there as well, so I was always trying to make sure that my teams over there were doing the right thing. The whole leadership thing started from there, where I was leading teams over there as well. So from there, then I went to KNUST to study pharmacy. I must say that most science students who did biology have an interest to just go read medicine, right? I'll say that I fall within that group of students where I wanted to read medicine, but just before I applied, I thought through it again, and then I looked at the options, and then I also had a family member who was a pharmacist, and I also looked at his trajectory career-wise, and I realized that I'd actually prefer being a pharmacist because it gives me that diversity that I want in my career, and not a very one-way kind of profession. Not to say that medicine is that way, but I felt pharmacy would make me a more diverse professional, in the sense that there are a lot of pharmacists doing very great things around the world that people do not know about. The pharmacist that you see in the community pharmacy close to your house is a community pharmacist, right? But that's not what pharmacists do. That's not the only thing that pharmacists do. We have pharmacists who work in the hospital setting, who are hospital pharmacists who are responsible for clinical care, making sure that the patient is getting the medications that they need. They are consulting with the doctors to make sure that the patient is getting the best of pharmaceutical care. There are pharmacists that work in the community setting, as I mentioned, who work within our communities to make sure that illnesses of common occurrence. So you have your little malaria here, little fever here, you walk in there, the pharmacist is there to help you. And even that, it's evolving to even do more. In other settings, you go there, they even do injections and vaccinations. I'm sure that will start pretty soon as we move on the years to come. You also have pharmacists in regulatory. So you go to organizations like Pharmacy Council, the Food and Drugs Authority. These are people who are making sure that the drugs that we have on the market have the right post-marketing surveillance done to make sure that they are wholesome for us to consume. You also have pharmacists in clinical research who are also researching on a daily basis to make sure that we are finding new drugs that we can administer. Pharmacists are also in manufacturing, where they are making the new medications. They are manufacturing it right from scratch for us to be able to use. You also have pharmacists who are in more of the sales and commercial space, where they are making sure that eventually when the medication is out and is on the shelf, people know about it, prescribers know about the medication, they know about the side effects, they know about what the medication can do, its advantages and demerits, and then eventually it is sold, right? So these are like the sales professionals or sales consultants or medical representatives who work with doctors to make sure that they know the medications that are on the market for business purposes. So we have those pharmacists as well. We have a lot of them in other areas, but I graduated from school in 2013, and then I was fortunate to enter the commercial space. So I started my career as a commercial pharmacist, where I was actively working with doctors and pharmacists and health professionals in general to help them understand the uses of the medications that I was working on. But my role was generally in a sales capacity, right? Making sure that the company is selling its medications to meet certain forecasted demands and all that. And so my career started off in the sales and more of business and key account management background, right? And then from there I ended up at Zipline, where I'm currently leading operations and the day-to-day operations at Zipline. So that has been the trajectory for my career. But I think I'm not that old, but I've had quite a good career. I'd say props to my parents. My parents have been a very strong backbone for me. And it's very important for the young ones to know that STEM, doing well within the STEM space, if you have very, very good parents or very good guardians or anybody that you can look up to, it makes the trajectory even better because they can help mold you. They are there for you. And STEM education is also doesn't come at a cheap price. It's not cheap. So you need people to actually make sure that you can afford the training, you can pay for it. So if you have parents who are doing their best, don't take that for granted. Because STEM education everywhere else in the world is expensive. If you have to go do postgraduate studies in pharmacy or in chemistry or anything scientific, engineering in the US, you pay a lot of thousands of dollars. And so if you have support in doing this, you should not take it for granted. Make sure that you are putting in the best so that you can come out really good. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And highlighting the fact that our parents and guardians, our immediate environment, do play a very important role in who or what will become tomorrow. But I'm curious, are your parents coming from from a STEM background?
My dad is from a STEM background. So my dad is a chemical technologist.
Sorry, what is that?
yes, so I'll go into that. My dad is a chemical technologist. His whole career was based on he worked with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research.
CSR, okay.
Where he worked with soil research institutes. So he's one of those people who can tell you whether your soil is good for this kind of farm or that kind of farm. He can tell exactly what's within the soil, the contents, and all that. And he did a lot of good work during he's retired now, when he was in active service to support the food and agric industries, because his output would help you know whether your farms will do well, it will not do well, what you could actually use the land for, what you can't use the land for. And so growing up, I wouldn't say I took too much inspiration from that because, well, at that time it seemed quite boring. But he, some way, somehow, influenced my decision to do science as well, because he always told me that science opens you up for a lot more opportunities, right? It doesn't box you in. So even if you are doing science, it doesn't necessarily mean that you might end up with a science profession, right? But it just opens you up. The science, the math makes you versatile. It allows you to branch into any other area because it's mostly about logical reasoning, thinking through things, problems, and solving problems.
Right.
And so that is where I got that from. My mom was from a business background. But
so that'll be interesting to hear, because then we will see how STEM influence helped you, and then a non-STEM influence also comes to play.
Yes.
Because we'll have most of our viewers having either the balance or no STEM at all or full STEM, and then we can see how that plays out too.
Yeah. So my mom was from a business background. She did her MBA. So growing up, and when I finished pharmacy school and I went to more of the commercial space, I picked a thing or two from her as well. So you can see maybe I mixed and matched. Yeah.
And wonderful outcomes there.
Yeah.
But are there other sources that you may have tapped from, not necessarily close within the nuclear, but outside of the two, respective fields you've mentioned?
Yes. So I'd say that I also had like people from outside the nuclear family, like my uncle. I remember I had an uncle who's also a pharmacist. I got a lot of inspiration from him. He made me understand that there's opportunity to diversify as a pharmacist, and I would have the opportunity to swim across the profession and really enjoy it. And so I got a lot of inspiration from him as well. Once I came out of school as well, I got a lot of inspiration from other colleague pharmacists who are much senior than me as well, who gave me a lot of guidance. When I joined GSK, I was one of the youngest on the team as a sales rep around that time. And there were a lot of senior colleagues there who had been doing it for 4 years, 5 years, who would help me, go with me on every appointment, would guide me, would help me, would teach me how to have the right work ethic and all that. I was fresh from school, and I entered a very structured organization. And when you're fresh from school like that, you have all kinds of expectations,
right,
and all kinds of things that you think you can do. But then when you enter a very structured and corporate environment, and you realize that you have a sales manager who is expecting this number of KPIs from you, it becomes a new thing for you because you haven't worked in any space like that before. But that experience molded me, helped to give me a very good start, and also helped me develop very good work ethic. And that's one thing that I think the young ones should work on. The work ethic is very important, your attitude to work. You might not be the genius on the team, or you might not be the most skilled person on the team, but if you have a good attitude, you will thrive, because you would learn, and you would learn a lot. But if you have a very bad attitude, you would invest so much energy on that bad attitude to the point that it will deprive you of quality time to actually learn and become a better person, right? And so I think those early experiences that I had helped give me a very good work ethic, because, I mean, you can't come late for meetings. You have to be there on time. You're meeting customers. You have to be there on time. You have to send your report at this time. The report has to be done in this way. There's a structured way of doing things, and it helps to mold you. It helps you understand how the business environment works, how things work. And so you are able to thrive wherever you go. And that training was good. Yeah.
No, awesome. You have talked about the sources, but they're still a bit STEM related. We want to see if there were other sources other than STEM, outside of your mom's being a source, that also sort of you drew from to be Samuel today.
Yes. So I'd say that I picked from friends, right, who were not necessarily within the STEM space. But I mentioned early on that your circle of friends determines what you eventually become, right? And so I was very careful the kind of friends that I had surrounding me, right? So I had friends who, some were from the STEM field, some were not from the STEM fields. Those who were from the STEM field, I got a lot from them. Those who were not from the STEM field, I learned other attributes also from them. I had roommates back in school who were all in the social sciences. And they were great because I learned a lot from them. They would help you understand how things which are non-science related, how you relate with people, right? And if I just focused on my studies the whole time while I was in school, I'd probably just come out as a nerd without having a very good human relationships. But they helped me be able to bridge that gap, how to relate to people, how to talk to people, how to generally be nice to people, even if you don't like the person, how to just vibe with the person. So finding yourself within a group of people who are different from your core set of people also gives you good experiences. But you also need to be very measured with that, because you could end up having friends that would lead you astray. And so I'd say that it's good to have friends. It's good to have different circles of people, but make sure that your network is one that is you'll be proud of. It's one that you know you're going to get something from. There are people who have networks or groups that help them start a business, which is great. There are groups too that come together and they just drink, and so you have to be very careful with that growing up as a youth. Yeah.
Great. So far, we've heard about your time at Presec.
Yeah.
We've heard about your time with your roommates and the wonderful things that they have taught you.
Yeah.
Back in KNUST.
Yes.
And then joining the work.
Yes, the world of work. Yeah.
Yes. I like the fact that you said that you had setting expectations.
Yes, expectations, plenty.
You know, national service has just started, and lots of us are going into, you know, our workplaces with setting expectations. Could you just reiterate what these expectations were and how, if you were disappointed, you managed, and if they were met, you celebrated them?
Yes, so I'll say that my first job, when I got my salary the first time, I was disappointed. I was expecting more, right?
Oh.
I was expecting more. I was expecting that. Those are some of the expectations, right? So coming out right out of school, the focus might just be on money, which is fine. Money is good. You need money to survive, but that should not be the only focus. Because I learned at that point, I knew that at that point in time, my company was paying me. They weren't paying me as much as I wanted because I could have actually gotten more elsewhere. But at that point in time, it was the right place for me to be because I had to learn. And that is the kind of attitude that any growing person in the industry needs to understand, that at the beginning, you want to learn, you want to understand how things work, you want to see how the industry operates, you want to build your networks, you want to create connections within the industry. So as you build that is what is going to catapult you into the next phase of your career, where you would now have that power to actually bargain for more. But if you want to jump that step to the next step, you get there, you realize that what really do I have to bring to the table? Because you really don't have anything you don't have experience, and all you have is knowledge. And the point is that when you get on the field, I need somebody who can do the work and not somebody who knows the work.
Two different things.
Exactly. So if I'm hiring you because I think you can do it, because I need people to get on the ground. Even if I'll give you training, the training I'll give you would support the 50% you are coming with. But if you are coming with 0% and I'm giving you 50%, you are still lagging in there because you really don't have anything to bring on the table. But when you're given an opportunity at the early stage to learn, don't be too angry or annoyed about it. I would say it would be good for you to use it as a learning opportunity to learn, build experience, and you realize that it would be a worthwhile opportunity for you. Use it to build your network, learn, and then when the next opportunity or the next two opportunities come, you realize that it will find you and you would be the right person for it, right? And so at the beginning, let's not put so much focus on the money. It's important. I know boys want to chill, but let's put focus on the training and what we are learning, what we are getting from them, the soft things, not the, because in this new age, a lot of things do not really rely on the degree that you got. It's about the soft skills that you have. You might go to school and learn pharmacy, go to school and learn engineering, but you'll be put into a role and be asked to manage a project. Do you have the experience in managing projects? Do you have a project management experience? What is the size of projects that you have managed before? You haven't done it before, right? But another person has been given the opportunity to probably be an assistant in an early job where they were an assistant project manager or something, where you were not the main project manager, but you had the opportunity to serve or work with the project manager. That person is learning. They may not be paid as much as the substantive project manager, but during their stay there, they are learning a lot of things that the next time they get an opportunity to be the main project manager, they would be able to excel. But if they downplayed that opportunity just because, it's not paying as much, they would miss that opportunity.
No, we don't want to miss any of these wonderful opportunities that come our way. There's a wonderful question here, which goes, as a young manager, how would you build rapport and still maintain professional relationships with older people who work directly under you?
Yeah, I think it can be a very tricky thing, but as a manager, you are actually there to serve. So what you need to have in mind is that attitude of servant leadership, right? There are managers and there are leaders. You have to choose what you want. You want to be a manager, you can sit in an office somewhere and give instructions. That's fine. But if you want to be a leader, you have to be on the field.
Right.
You have to be with your team. You have to understand what their problems are, what their challenges are. You are there to serve them, right? Because they are the ones doing the day-to-day activities, and you are just there to make sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to excel. So having a good relationship with them and building rapport with them is important. You should be able to have a conversation with them aside the jobs. You should be able to have a one-on-one with them. They should see you as somebody they can come to with their problems. Because no matter how you look at it, if people have problems outside work, it will creep up into the work.
Yes.
Because you can't partition it. Because if the person has a problem at home, they'll bring it to work.
Right.
And if they bring it to work, it will affect the work that you're doing. And so you want to make sure that they're in a very good place mentally to be able to do the work and do it well. And so you should have that rapport with them where they can actually tell you that this is what my problem is. You should also have that rapport for them to give you feedback. Right. You will not always be right.
Absolutely.
But you have to sometimes accept that you didn't do it right, and so you could do better next time and do it that way and that way. Accept when you go wrong and then take feedback as well. That's one way that you will succeed. And then also when you promise to do something, make sure you do it. That's how people build trust. Yeah. People naturally don't trust their bosses. People feel like he always has something up his sleeve.
Right.
The only way people will trust you is when you say you do something, you follow through with your word. If you can't deliver quickly communicate and let them understand why you could not deliver on the promise. This doesn't mean you're being slow or you're being lax with them. Right. You have to be, they'll respect you, you'll build respect over time, and then you can still be firm and make firm decisions because they know that when it comes to us having a regular conversation, you will have it. But when it's time for business, you show the business face. Absolutely. And so you can definitely have that, but it's about creating that balance. But I'd say that to be successful, it's not like you get put into the role and immediately it's working. No, you have to build trust with your team so that they can come to you and talk to you. But aspire to be a leader, not like a manager. Right.
Aspire to be a leader, not necessarily a manager. We've spoken a lot about management and people skills and people management, as it were. But let's go into the sciences of things. And your time in GSK and now your time in Zipline. But GSK for now. And you were a deputy in
pharmacovigilance. I was doing some pharmacovigilance.
What's all that about?
Oh, so pharmacovigilance is...
We would like to know so that can pick our interest. And
so pharmacovigilance is one of the other areas that I mentioned as one of the areas in pharmacy that's also an opportunity for pharmacists to get into.
Right.
It's basically about patient safety. So pharmacovigilance professionals are those that are able to track while the product is on the market, are able to track for adverse events.
Okay.
So someone takes a medication and then there's an adverse event, right? They take a medication and then they collapse, or they take a medication, they have a rash. If it is something that is not expected, or it's not something that is not expected to be the mainstay with that particular medication, then it's an adverse, something that could be adverse. And these are people who are tracking these things and are reporting them to the FDA, working with the FDA to make sure that these things can be worked on. So they are mainly safety professionals. Right. And the law requires that every pharmaceutical entity that is trading in Ghana should have someone responsible for that. So I was part of the team on that during that. So you have to take extra training for that as well.
Oh, okay.
You have to take some formal training and there's some practical training as well for you to be able to do that. So I did that for a period before I left.
No, would I appreciate if you could mention the training. I mean, we are here to learn, and we're here to take away.
Yes. So aside your training as a pharmacist, there's an organization that is accredited by the Food and Drugs Authority. it's called the African Collaborating Center for Pharmacovigilance. So they will assign you to that organization. You go there, they train you, and then the FDA will issue a certificate and give you a registration number to say that you are a qualified person, and then your name will go into FDA's books as the point of contact for this particular company in terms of safety. So if the FDA picks up any safety concern or anything, they'll call you. We've seen this happening here. Can you come and explain all that? And it's a growing area but we have a lot of pharmacists going there gradually because it has. There again, policy has also created a job because now it's a requirement for every company to have that. So that has created an opportunity for us to train these people to be able to do that. That's very important when it comes to policy. Like that's how policy can actually create opportunities. So it's also another growing area that pharmacists can get into. But it's not restricted to pharmacists. Any person within the science space, chemistry, as long as you have a certain level of training and you can be able to do it, you are assigned those trainings and then you do it. Yeah.
Viewers, it's getting hotter and hotter in here. The nuggets that Samuel is sharing with us. Now we know that this is a wonderful career opportunity that policy has made possible for any of us. Once we are trained pharmacists, we can venture into that. And those who like safety, careful, I mean, as personal traits, you can begin to look into that. He's also mentioned where we can get the training from, the assignment and how it works. And you too can, look into it and then develop a wonderful career in that as well. Let me just recap our theme. We want to take a bit of a change of our course. The theme for this year is nurturing tomorrow's generation of STEM leaders. And our focus for today is advancing remote access to healthcare logistics with technology. So this is the time we talk about Zipline and the work you're doing there. Like I said, you're not a pilot, but how is this happening? So at this point, break it down to us. What's really happening on there? And socially, for those of us who are in the STEM industry, considering careers, how do we fit into, jobs that are available in Zipline and the like worldwide?
So what Zipline is generally doing is what we call aerial logistics, which is a novel space where aerial generally means that logistics in the air, right? So Zipline is the world's leading company when it comes to aerial logistics because we have been successful so far when it comes to pioneering this kind of technology and being able to do all that is expected. We started operations in Ghana in 2019. We've currently expanded to 6 distribution centers, right? So what happens is that we fly from our distribution center. We work within an 80-kilometer radius, right? So the drone flies unmanned to a location that is a health facility. And over there's a patient who's probably needs a medication. It could be an emergency where a snake has bitten someone, or it could be in a case where the facility has gone below what their normal stock is.
Stock levels,
and so they want to increase their stock, or they want the medication to save their patient's life, and then they call Zipline instantly to deliver. So that's what we do. We do this from 6 distribution centers across. Currently in Ghana, every week we do about 2,900 deliveries across all the 6 distribution centers. And we are making a lot of impact in so many different ways, right? What people fail to understand is that we are not like the only logistics person within the health space, the logistics company within the health space. It's not as if every medical product within the health space is carried by Zipline, no. So we work in a manner that is like we have integrated our work with that of the already existing ground logistics. So ground logistics exists. That is the system that was already existing before Zipline came into the picture. Ground logistics is when a truck carries consignments full of drugs, and then it's pushed to different health facilities to based on an order that they have made. But you realize that, first of all, in an emergency where somebody doesn't have a product available, the truck is not going to move from the capital and come there to bring you just 2 packs of anti-snake that you need at that point in time when the patient is dying. It doesn't even make economic sense. And so that's how Zipline would be able to send that small quantity to you, and it will make sense. Also, for facilities that have gone below their order limits, so what happens is that once the truck delivers products to you, It delivers to you. The next time it comes to you is probably a month, sometimes 2 months, sometimes 3 months. And within that period, you could go below your minimum store quantity, or you could actually even go completely out. And so Zipline would serve you with minimum quantities of whatever product that you need to run your clinic until the full consignment comes again as a truck. Now, the very important thing that people refuse to, or people don't really see, is the access problem, where we live in Accra, and so it's easy for you to just drive here or go anywhere and purchase any medication, because it's just here. So people don't see the access challenges. There are people in this country who live on islands.
Yes.
Yes, like islands, like you have to use a ferry to cross from one point to the other.
Yeah.
So assuming your brother has been bitten by a snake and the anti-snake venom is not available, you want to go, you get to the ferry, you have to wait for the ferry to come, put the car on the, it's a whole problem. The patient will die. People live on islands, people live on mountainous areas where the truck cannot even get there. People live in areas where it's not very motorable. So how do these people have access to medication? These people are also Ghanaians, and they need to also have these medications to be able to survive. And so that is where area logistics comes in, because area logistics surmounts these obstacles. If the road is not motorable, the drone can still fly there. If the mountain is at a certain level, if there's a huge mountain and like the place is not accessible, the drone can still go there. If there's a river, or the area is a riverine area, or the facilities on an island, the drone can actually fly over there and deliver. So you realize that having area logistics as a combination with ground logistics, it makes your system a bit more resilient, because you can deliver smaller quantities instantly, and you can also deliver in bulk on the ground. So you have two options. In areas where there's flooding, there are places that are dry during the dry areas, but when it rains, the places are flooded. Some areas in the north get flooded. The Bagre Dam is opened recently, the place will get flooded. The truck cannot go there, right? So, but these people need medications. And because of the water, the incidence of malaria starts going up because of the mosquitoes and all that. And you need medications to go there. That's where Zipline also comes in to support. When it comes to COVID-19 vaccination, it became very critical, the work that we did. And this was because the COVID-19 vaccination had to happen within a short period of time. If you want to do any kind of mass campaign over a short period of time, it requires that you throw in logistics that can happen quickly.
Yes.
And with drones, you can achieve that. All you have to do is just make sure that the areas that are within the urban areas, the trucks can do that, right? And then the areas that are in the hinterlands, the drone just pushes us there, and then you're able to. So that's how come we're able to vaccinate a lot of people within a short period of time. It's also worth noting that the vaccines that were available for COVID-19, for instance, they were very short dated. The expiry date was very close, because they were preparing them in a hurry to quickly vaccinate people. So the expiry date was just like a few months. If you're going to push everything using trucks, you might not be able to completely push everything out, and then some will still expire. But you have the ability to use drones to push them quickly. Imagine the volumes you can push out, because one 2 kilogram package from Zipline can carry about 50 vials of a vaccine. Each vial contains about 10 doses. Okay. So you can see the number of doses that you can actually push. And if each dose is going to one patient, that's box of 500 doses. Yeah. So you can see that you can do a lot within a short period of time. And this has made the work Zipline doing very revolutionary around the world.
We don't doubt that. But all I'm hearing is logistics. And it just suggests to me, then somebody with a supply chain background should be doing this. What's the pharmacist doing here and leading operations? So that's one. Two, of course, you're already in the road, so there definitely are some value that you're bringing. So help us understand that. We know we're solving everyday problems, but we want to see how being a pharmacist comes to play. Yes.
So first of all, you're dealing with medications, right? And when it comes to being a pharmacist, pharmacists are like the custodians of medicines, right? Now, if you look at it critically, the logistics of medical supply is within the remits of a pharmacist. Right? You are trained on the clinical aspects. You are trained on all other things. Now, the movement of the medication from one point to another is also lies within the pharmacist space. Okay. When you go into the Ghana Health Service, like the people that manage the supply within the regions, pharmacists play like a major role in it. The truth is that other professions could be interested in it, but a pharmacist should be interested because getting medications to your patients is like the main. What's more important than getting the medication to your patient, right? If you are doing it at a dispensary, that's a good opportunity. If you can't do it from a dispensary and you can do it with a drone, that's even amazing because you can actually get into very hard to reach areas. Now, as a pharmacist, I get to be able to lead a team that manages what we call fulfillment, which is our warehouse where we store the medical products, blood products, vaccines. So your training as a pharmacist helps you be able to manage inventory, which is the stocks that we keep within our warehouse. Okay. Your training as a pharmacist helps you be able to do a lot with quality management, which is making sure that the stocks over there are being managed properly with respect to WHO standards and good distribution practices. Your training as a pharmacist helps you be able to identify certain off-nominal situations that will come and be able to use your expertise to solve it. So, for example, a patient may be in dire need of a particular medication, right? By being a pharmacist, you're able to tell that, oh, we don't have this option, but this option could also support you. But what do you think about it? And if the health professional is interested in that, then you can make that available to them. But that gives an extra value because you know the medications and you know the alternatives that are available. Being a pharmacist also allows you to be, because you have the skills to be able to do proper forecasting and proper inventory management, and also be able to manage the stakeholders that manage the products in all. So it is our space generally, but it's also a space where other health professionals can thrive. But for a pharmacist, you should not shy away from anything like this because it's within our domain.
No, thank you for clarifying all of this. There was a question about the initial, should I say, brouhaha around it. I'd say because we didn't understand what was happening. A few of us thought maybe some catapults, you're just pushing packages across. But now with this education and the clarity that you've shown, you've actually shared, we're getting a sense of, the impact. But really help us go through, how, well, of course, policy has made this possible. But really these kinds of challenges that arise from new or novel technologies, job, opportunities that come up, and how you can weather the storms. So you're not discouraged, you still can pursue and be successful.
Yeah, so first of all, it's a novel technology, right? And if you decide to leave whatever job you're doing to say you want to join Zipline, I'm sure someone will tell you that, are you sure? They'll try to talk you out of it. Are you sure this is something that you really want to do? But it's okay that you feel that way because you want to make the best decision for yourself. Using myself as an example, when I joined Zipline was just starting in Ghana. And I was coming from a very structured company to one that is like a new environment where we are building everything from ground up. So at the beginning, you feel a bit uncomfortable because it's like you've moved from a structured place to a place which doesn't have enough structure at the beginning because you're starting from ground up. But the good thing to know is that it also builds you up because within that space you'll be doing A, B, C, D, and even E and F, where probably in a structured space you just be doing A and B. So within a short period of time, 6 months to a year, you realize that you have built a lot more experience than somebody who would probably be in a structured space. I'm not saying working in a structured space is not, it's great, but working in a startup environment or an environment where business is now starting gives you the opportunity to also be very innovative. The truth is that a lot of the things that we did at the beginning, the initial teams that started, most of those things did not really exist. We had to create them to make sure that we are ready to launch, right? And so at that point in time, it's you being innovative. You used your your practical skills, you using other soft skills, project management skills, other innovative ways of going around things to make sure that it happened, right? And that is an opportunity that you probably wouldn't have gotten if you were in a space where it's already done and done for you. And so you spend a lot of years within that space, you realize that you're doing A, B, C, D, E, and you come out of that space, you realize that it's actually prepared you for something bigger, right? And it makes you ready for any task because you are used to working in a space where you are doing multiple things, right? Being a jack of all trades. But I'd say that it's been like one of the best decisions that I've ever made joining Zipline because over the last 3.5 years, I can say that I'm not the same person comparing it to when I joined, right? I've learned so much, and I think that if I had a chance to make the decision again, I'd make that same decision to join. So that's basically it.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to continue our conversation.
Whoever you're doing it for, we'll help you get it done. Simply. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say,
Come join us.
Pakuli.
Piasa nyani.
Oyai Tibatane.
Zafula na bia.
Viens nous rejoindre.
Brabe Kayam.
आओ हमारे साथ शामिल हो जाओ
as we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Make I walk you through my everyday life. Busy from the morning light. My to-do list long, shadow fit to overlap. So sharp, turn on mobile app. School fees check, light bills check. Do I'm with speed like a G4 checks. We had a thing, I am not upset. Check, I don't even use checks to the check.
Join the Absa family and make fast, easy, and safe transactions with our digital products. Log on to absa.com.gh. No long thing. We like them simple and easy.
Leave it. No long things in my life, though. Like I'm simple and easy. Easy.
Thank you so much for staying on. We are still live on Facebook, NSMQ page, and STEMFestGH. Please send your questions, send your comments, and we're glad to have them and then have our mentors, our STEM leaders, our STEM giants, give us their take on this. So if we went on a tour to one of your distribution centers, I think the famous one,
Menako.
Yes. Who would we meet on the floor?
Well, if you get to Omenako, you'd meet two teams, the fulfillment team, the flight team. The flight team, you'd meet a team that's like basically made of people who are trained in the background of engineering.
Okay.
We usually hire for diversity so that there can be sharing of ideas. So we have people from electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, and all the other engineering fields. However, when we hire you to be a flight operator, you still go through training within Zipline Academy to make sure that you can operate our systems. And then you also have to take the Civil Aviation Air Law test to make sure that you pass to be a flight operator. On the fulfillment side, which is the team I lead, you see teammates from the health-facing backgrounds, so people from pharmaceuticals, medical lab sciences. We even have nurses who are public health nurses who are interested in what we do because we are doing public health essentially. And of course, you also be trained in Zipline Academy to be able to do everything that we do within our operations. Our operations is there are different stakeholders that you have to work with, right? So it's also creates a lot of opportunity for people to develop multiple skills. What I mean by this is, before we even launch our operations, you need to, even though you'll be given approval to work in Ghana, you have to satisfy FDA requirements, Pharmacy Council requirements, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority requirements. So all these are different Ghana Health Services and all the other stakeholders, Ministry of Health. These are all different stakeholders that you have to make sure that you have gotten the right approvals from. Now, all these different people, some way, somehow, are managed by different teammates. So we have teammates who are on my team who are pharmacists, but their focus is more on the health systems integration. So their job is mostly helping us to integrate our service within the health systems properly. So, for example, we have the work that we do with vaccines. They would make sure that the relationships we have with the expanded program on immunization is going well. We have the vaccines that we need to be able to serve and all that. So they are helping integrate our service within the health system. We also have teammates that are involved in government affairs, which is engaging the governments, the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, making sure that from a policy standpoint or from a government standpoint, we are operating and operating sustainably, right? That's also something, an area that pharmacists can also get into policy. There are a lot of STEM people staying away from politics, but you realize that going into policy making is putting you in the right position to make decisions that would affect the STEM space. Right. So don't leave it for other people who don't understand the STEM space to make the decisions, right? So STEM people should also aspire to do policy and we have pharmacists who are in policy, like in the Ministry of Health, who are making decisions every day to help support public health. Pharmacists, we also have pharmacists who are developing skills in data analysis, which is becoming a big thing now because as we do research on a daily, clinical research, it's data that we use, right? And being a health professional and a pharmacist and having an understanding of medications, you are able to understand the data sets that you are playing with. And so developing these skills in analyzing data and making sense out of the data is also a skill that is coming up strongly. And these are skills that you will not be taught in school in the traditional way. So after school, you have to spend extra time to develop these soft skills because it's the future. Data is the future. There's also skills around quality assurance. So you can become a quality assurance person. that's also something that is very important, because even in manufacturing, in logistics, every industry requires a quality assurance person to make sure that the end product or whatever service that we are providing is the best to the customer at the end of our space. So all these are different spaces within the pharmacy space and within the health space that people can take advantage of.
No, very grateful that you're sharing all of this. So it's not just a pharmacist, but we have all of these, how do you call it, diversity in hiring, so that we have that full house to help deliver to our, most especially our folks in the rural area. Yes. There's a question, let me just pick that. So what has been the acceptance rate? So people are very concerned. I'm sure this person is coming from a policy standpoint. So, So one, what is the acceptance rate of what you're doing so far? Because our people, if they don't understand what you're doing, then there's a, there's a step back to, okay, we don't want to deal with you anymore. And then how did you break that kind of barrier? I think it's also... The barrier.
So I agree totally that if my grandmother is in the village and if she sees a drone passing over her, she doesn't know what it is. She could probably get scared. What is this that is coming to pass over my head? So it's quite something that is really important to us. Initially, we didn't have it easy because it's a new technology. People don't know what it is, right? So even within the health space, for the health stakeholders, most of them did not really understand until it took gradual engagements. So now I'd say that I don't know what rates I would assign to it in terms of number, but I'd say that we're in a very good position right now in terms of how the health stakeholders perceive us. In terms of the community, before I even go to the community, in terms of the health stakeholders, I think sometimes there's the fear that what is this thing? Is it sustainable? How is it going to pan out? There's people, there are those concerns, but it's valid because it's a new technology. So that's where you need to do constant stakeholder engagement and stakeholder management to make sure that you are allaying all fears, and then you can be able to build trust and then understand what you are doing. On the community aspect, we saw this early, and so we instituted a role on our team called a community lead. Right. So we have a community lead for every distribution center that we serve. And the job of the community lead is to make sure that we are closer to the community. So whilst the health teams are engaging the Ghana Health Service and the health stakeholders, the community teams are engaging the chiefs, the Ghana Police, the MC, the DCE, and even the communities, the people within the communities. And we also train them on like some of the off-nominals or the things that could happen that maybe with our drone or something, so that in case anything untoward happens or they see anything, they can even help us or support us. And so with time, because of this function on the team, we have a lot of community-based activities. We even have STEM engagements where we have our teams with the support of the community lead in the distribution center, go to schools and to try and get the teams to understand what technology is and what it can do. And we always go with our show drone. We put our show drone there, and then they get to visualize it and see it in real life, ask questions. It sort of helps them think about what technology really can do. And so we have STEM activities that we do and all that. So this is gradually building a very good relationship with the community. So I'm sure if you go to the communities that we serve, you ask them, they know what it is.
No, that would be great. And whilst we're sharing this, you have a shout out from Mandela. He was in your Presec 08 class, and they said you're all watching keenly to this. Thank you so much for sending that message through. Well, that takes us to the lighter side as we conclude today's very interesting conversation. You like NBA, the national basketball?
Yes. I used to play basketball when I was younger. I was very good. I was a shooting guard.
Wow.
And I used to make very good 3 shots, and then the girls would give me fouls and all that. That was really cool back in university primary. But when I started wearing glasses and I went to Presec, I got too serious. I was like, the glasses won't work. So I pushed it aside. But I rather decided to watch on TV. But my favorite team was the Miami Heat. Because LeBron was there for a while, and I liked Dwayne Wade as well. But I still wake up in the night sometimes to watch the games.
Different time zones.
Different time zones. Eastern time, Pacific time, and all that. Sometimes
I used to have this small figurine of Pippen. The Chicago Bulls growing up. That was interesting. No, but we've had a wonderful conversation. You've demystified a lot of things to us, and I'm actually very glad that you're having your show and tell sessions in the rural communities, and it really gives the children, if you're going through to schools, they can actually see the technology firsthand and have a feel of it, and that will spark an interest. And whilst you're doing this, you develop their interest and innermost passions, and as we seek to do here. Well, this is the end of this week. This is the 7th session that we're having, but we haven't ended. We will continue on Monday, 5 p.m. sharp, on our STEM Fest GH page and the National Science and Maths Quiz page, all on Facebook. We are on Instagram as well. Do send your comments, your questions, all that you have in mind, what you want us to ask our mentors as they come through. Send them all on there, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll be sure to pick them. This is what time will allow us. We'll see you on Monday. Good evening.
Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say,
come join us.
Pakuli.
Viação Ghana.
Oyaye te battalion.
Zafula na bia.
Viens nous rejoindre.
Brabe Kanyam.
Ao, hamaरे साथ शामिल हो जाओ.
as we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Whoever you're doing it for, we'll help you get it done. Simply. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.